Following program is produced by Project Bait and does not reflect the views of this station.
Well, you know, this is the kind of discussion on Project Bait that makes it beneficial for us to be here, because in this situation we talk a lot about the African world in particular. Well, this week, as you know, there's been a lot of discussion about the arrest of Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, who is a member of one of the most prestigious families that is in Nigeria, and who essentially has now been charged with situations or things related to the alleged attack on a Northwest airline here in the city of Detroit. Joining us on this edition of For My People is Abayomi Azikiwe. Abayomi Azikiwe does the Pan-African Newswire and has been publishing that for quite some time now. Takes a look not only at that, but what's happening in relationship to Muslims and specifically black people who are Muslims around the world. What's happening now?
Well, it's a quite interesting development. We had what was known as an attempted act of terrorism on December 25th, and it was quite convenient that this incident occurred in Detroit, an area where we just had on October 28th the murder of an African-American Imam, Luqman Ameen Abdullah, and there's been a lot of questions raised in the aftermath of his assassination, not only by the progressive community and the Islamic community, but also now the corporate media is starting to raise some fundamental issues around his assassination. And you know, their coverage was very poor in the aftermath of his assassination. The Detroit Free Press has called for an independent investigation. The Detroit News had written an article about the suppression of his autopsy. So this is quite a coincidence that this incident would occur here in the city of Detroit. Then, of course, we have to look at the fact that this young man's 23 years old, supposedly was on a watch list compiled by Homeland Security. He was able to board a plane from Amsterdam to Detroit with no passport. He had a multiple entry visa to come in and out of the United States, but he had no luggage, and supposedly he had a one-way ticket. His father had already contacted the American Embassy in Nigeria to indicate that he was concerned about his son's behavior. So it raises a lot of questions in regard to the veracity of these allegations that have been made against him, and who may have actually been behind this whole incident.
What do you make of now the headlines that are being thrown around that Al-Qaeda is contending that this was something that they were involved in?
Well, we don't know if that's the case or not. We know in Yemen, though, just 2 days prior to this incident at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport, that dozens of Yemenis were killed in a military operation that was supposedly carried out by the Yemeni army, but the U.S. admitted that they had a hand in it. They admitted to supplying $70 million in military assistance to the Yemeni government, and they're claiming this is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. Yet it's one of the poorest countries in the world. Just like Afghanistan, they claim is dangerous. It's also one of the poorest countries in the world. So that's quite interesting that we have the poorest countries in the world that are now labeled as being the most dangerous.
I think it's important for you to speak about something that we talked about prior to this program in terms of the oil situation in Nigeria, the juxtaposition of a major oil crisis with U.S. companies and the Chinese, and this.
This is a very interesting situation that is taking place now in Nigeria. The major oil firms, which are Western-based companies that have dominated the oil industry in Nigeria since 1956, are threatening to sabotage the economy there now. Shell is threatening to put up their oil fields for sale. The other major companies, Total, Chevron, ExxonMobil, already mentioned Royal Dutch Shell, Egypt. These companies are quite upset because the Nigerian government has signed a oil contract with the People's Republic of China that's valued at $50 billion. And this is going to totally transform the oil industry in Nigeria, which is the second largest exporter of crude oil to the United States. It used to be the first, but it was taken over by Angola just this past year. And there was a huge Africa-China summit that took place in Egypt last month. And in that summit, China pledged a considerable amount of money to various development projects in Africa. And Nigeria is going to receive $50 billion of investment. They're going to, in fact, purchase 6 billion barrels of crude oil from Nigeria. So the oil companies are extremely upset about this situation involving the Nigerian government.
I got to ask you this in the last minute that we have, and that is on the heels of what happened at Northwest Airlines last week. There was another Nigerian that was stopped and subsequently found not to have been involved in any kind of terrorist activity. Do you think that that what happened out at the airport is going to launch a wave of terrorism, if you choose, on the part of maybe this government against individuals who are Muslims and Africans?
It's already going on. We mentioned the murder of Imam Luqman, and there are other people who have been targeted. Pakistani who was murdered just recently in another part of the United States. And it comes at a time where we're facing the worst economic crisis in history since the Great Depression. And also we have to understand that next year there's going to be a new wave of home foreclosures, layoffs. Mm-hmm. So yes, we think this places another emphasis on terrorism as opposed to the economic crisis and political repression. And we have to combat that, to put the focus back on what the real issues are in the coming year.
For My People has been speaking with Abayomi Azikiwe, who is the publisher, or shall I say, the online publisher of Pan African Newswire. In addition to that, we'd like to close by saying 500,000 people in the United States are on the watch list. This raises serious questions about civil liberties of those of us here in the United States. So if you want to find out more about this or anything else you've seen here today, reach us on our website at projectbait.blackgold.net. Funding for closed captioning is provided by the Rice Bowl Fresh Asian Cooking, located in the Millender Center in downtown Detroit, on West Grand Boulevard in the New Center area, and in the College Park Shopping Center, located on Southfield Road at Outer Drive. For more information, contact us at 313-963-3200. Little Rock Baptist Church is the going church for the coming Christ. You want to find out more about services which are held every Sunday at 11 a.m., call 313-872-2900.
If you have a business in Metro Detroit, you should be in the Detroit Black Pages. For info, call 961-3289. That's 961-3289.
Hi, this is Ron Scott, and each week we have an opportunity to discuss a number of subjects right here on For My People, which is a production of Project BAIT, Black Awareness and Television. It's been around for the last 34 years. And during that time, we've had an opportunity to reach various publics, various people around the community. And most importantly, I talk to you from time to time. You see us out and about and say what you like about the program. And we encourage this. In fact, we've just instituted our new website, and we want you to take a look at it. In addition to that, we have the continuing effort to train a new generation of young people to continue the activities that Project BAIT started with so long ago. I'm glad to be in your sight and talking to you each morning and afternoon or whenever you see this program, when you watch Project BAIT and For My People in particular. Economics, politics, and consciousness. That's what we bring to you, and that's what we want to continue to do, because it's your program. It's about you. And we thank you for continuing to watch, and I'm Ron Scott, and I've enjoyed it and hope to continue to bring you insightful information.
On Street Beat, we put a focus on the community.
We simply set it out.
We go back to the days of some of the earliest talk shows.
I mean, we cover the issues that matter here in Michigan.
You're going to hear on Street Beat things you won't hear on other shows.
We provide critical analysis.
It's a made-in-Michigan product.
We try to get voices that you wouldn't see other places.
I'm Carol Kane. I grew up on the east side of Detroit.
I'm David Rambo, executive producer of For My People.
I'm Stephen Henderson, host of American Black Journal.
We're all made in Michigan.
The preceding program was produced by Project Bait and does not reflect the views of this station.
I got no balls for losing.